There's an exhibition launching at St Albans Museum exploring the history of the Jewish community in the city. The exhibition welcomes people into the lives of Jews who settled in St Albans, celebrating themes of sanctuary, work, compassion and courage. Helen Singer is the project organiser and she joins me this morning. Good morning.
Oh, hello. Hi, Nigat.
Hello, thank you for joining us. Now, whose stories in this exhibition are you telling and how are you telling them?
Oh, that's a good question. So the exhibition is called Arriving and Belonging, Stories from the St Albans Jewish Community. I'm a member of St Albans Masorti Synagogue, or SAMS, and work with Pauline Simons and Caroline Pearson, the project team. And actually, we'd had a previous project of over 100 stories we'd collected. And so we were lucky to get some funding in the form of a legacy. We worked with a heritage professional, Devorah Moritz, and she helped us distill these down into the themes that you've mentioned. So we feature 18 stories, the themes are sanctuary, courage, compassion, setting down roots, work and community. And so we're telling them, we've got a photography wall. So as you come in, you can see the contributors holding photographs of objects telling their stories. And you can see these then displayed in the display cabinets. But we've also got a world map. The arriving one shows stories come from really around the world. And there's a belonging map showing Jewish businesses in St Albans as recollected by one of the contributors. So we're aiming to show both the wider stories of migration, but also local connections with the Jewish community. And we have a timeline as well, which I can mention in a minute.
Yeah. So I was interested to know, because I was reading a lot about this. This isn't just about recent history, is it? It goes back to Jewish roots from far ago. I mean, how far does it go back?
That's right. So actually the timeline shows that way back in the 12th century, there was someone called Aaron of Lincoln, and he lent money to build the St Albans Abbey. And then, of course, all Jews were expelled from England in 1290, and they weren't allowed back until the time of Cromwell in the 1650s. And one of our contributors can trace our ancestors right back to one of the earliest settlers from that time. And then sort of fast forward to about the turn of at the beginning of the 19th century, there were Jewish families working for a raincoat factory in one of the areas of St Albans called Fleetville. And so one of our contributors' grandfather worked at Nicholson. So there's a lovely link there with living people telling stories about, 100 years ago. And then it comes right up to the founding of the two synagogues in St Albans. And it also comes full circle because at Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, the last 2 years, synagogue members blew the shofar, the ram's horn, from the Abbey Tower at Jewish New Year. Of course, the Abbey is sort of an iconic part of St Albans, so it shows a real sort of coming together of faiths and communities. So
you mentioned earlier that you've got this timeline and you're going to be using photographs as well in this exhibition to celebrate the themes of sanctuary, work, compassion and courage. I'm interested to know, what is it about St Albans that you think has attracted a strong Jewish community?
Well, we think there has been a Jewish community, partly through work. For example, the raincoat factory, we think tailors came out from London, or some had fled Russian pogroms, which led to a big influx of Jewish people. And then the small community was sort of growing in the 30s, leading to the founding of the two synagogues. And I think just a lot of families, like my own actually, we moved out. I was brought up in North London. My husband and I got married in 1985, and we moved out to St Albans partly for work, but you can also get into London easily, but we're in the countryside. So, and it may attract people who are looking for something a bit wider than the Jewish communities in London, where there are a lot of Jewish communities. We're part of a city which has a lovely mix of communities here.
And Helen, why is it important for you to map out Jewish roots in this way?
We really feel it's important to tell the stories of sort of migration, arriving and belonging. So many Jewish people have fled persecution and made this country their home. Their dependents belong to, and they've been welcomed by the St Albans community. We've got some amazing stories in the exhibition. My own mother came here on the Kinder transport. We've got a couple of Holocaust-related stories as well, where Kitty Hart Moxon, for example, was sent to Auschwitz when she was 16 and had her tattoo removed. There's Sylvia Schloss, whose family were in hiding during the war, and her uncle had hidden his paintings, and her mother went back to Amsterdam after the war to find them. So that's sort of powerful stories, and they reflect the themes of the exhibition, but also sort of key moments in Jewish history. So we hope the audience will relate to the historic and geographic events through the personal stories, and the photographs show the contributors, and it tells us a little bit about the contributors as well, who we are, what jobs we do. So we want to use the personal to reflect the wider picture.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say the St Albans Museum, actually, when I was looking at it yesterday, you've got some beautiful photographs, because you actually started mapping out these stories and showing a lot of these stories last year, but it had to be online.
That's right.
So how does it feel this year to go live at the museum?
So COVID struck, so we'd been planning for about a whole year. But because of COVID, we had to delay the in-person exhibition. But actually, it turned out to be quite a good thing, and we've got a website called arrivingbelonging.com. So there is an online exhibition as well, and we had a panel event, which was all online, called What Does It Mean to Belong, which was well received. So now it's really exciting. So the installation started just last Friday, and so to be able to welcome people into the Keepers Galleries, which are at the top of the museum, we're really excited now. And the museum's putting on some events. There's something called Every Object Tells a Story, so the contributors will speak about their stories, and there's some activities for children. I think March the 14th and 13th of April, so the website's got more details.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And that was Helen Singer, project organiser. And the exhibition starts on the 4th of February to the 15th of May.